Hello, hello, hello. My name is Stephen Monkey Mason, and welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the What the Fox. And it is the first volume of the one and only Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, John Cusack and Nicolas Cage films have been mounting up in the editing room. I brought some films back of John Cusack from New Zealand. I've been collecting Nicolas Cage films. There must be about 20 Nicolas Cage films. But the other day I bought the 101 release of The Quest, which I've got a little bit of love for. I'm about to watch that next, actually. And I've been thinking that Van Damme would be a good one to bring into this series, because Van Damme has made some good films, Van Damme has made some bad films, and Van Damme has definitely made some what the fuck movies. And basically, looking around, I've got some Van Damme movies hidden around. Now, I should have started this a while ago, because especially if we go on the channel, Death Warrant, did Black Eagle even get one? AWOL, as part of, again, 101. The trilogy box that I got, there's 3 Van Damme movies. Now, I'm not going to try and wing them. I am going to try and revisit them, especially the film I'm about to talk about. But obviously, Welcome to the Jungle, I had watched that recently. I was getting, right, okay. You know, really should have done Van Damme. Now, Derailed is another movie. That's what that is. I'm going to find 10 Van Damme films in here, but Derailed is the very first ever Lonely Tree podcast. It's doing really well, that podcast. That is definitely a what the fuck movie. I'll have to revisit it for this series again. These are going to be 10 movies randomly ranted. This is the first, one of the first things I'm doing since back in New Zealand. It's the first time I've ever worn my New Zealand flower hat. Long on the white like cloud, white like cloud. But anyway, I've just watched Hard Target. Now, Hard Target came along. When I was a kid, Van Damme was really popular. Bloodsport. I was always a Bloodsport man. Bloodsport is right there. Some of that is very rare to get a hold of on DVD. I don't think I've even got it on DVD when I think about it, but I might have. It's on Sky. But yeah, I always seen Bloodsport at an early age. Wasn't really the kickboxing fan. There's 2 kickboxing movies as well. They're in fast forward reviews. Anyway, you know, Kickboxer 2 when Van Damme turns up blind. It's like, what the fuck? So yeah, we'll get to there. Maybe they'll be for later volumes. But Van Damme was huge, coming off when you got the video shop and you seen him and stuff like Cyborg, Universal Soldier was very heavily marketed when I was younger. It was it's Van Damme versus Dragoff and stuff like that, and 2 other movies that were really popular and really heavily marketed and people used to get confused is Nowhere to Run. It's another film I've seen not last years, and Hard Target. Now this was on a pile of using. There's another Van Damme film down there, Wake of the Dead. There's Van Damme everywhere. This is the randomest, longest intro. Anyway, so Hard Target. I'd watched this. I bought it on Blu-ray. It always used to get confused because it was a very orange thing. You had Van Damme looking dead serious, Nowhere to Run. The movie was more of a drama than an action movie than I remember. Then you had Hard Target, which had a bit of a blue. Van Damme, given the whole back thing. Now, the film really heavily disguised that Van Damme has a big mullet in this and sometimes wears double denim, like he's the bad guy from The Stand. Okay, so this is John Woo. Officially, his first American productions, just before he did Broken Arrow. John Woo brings that Hong Kong style across. Brilliant casting with Van Damme. But Lance Henriksen is the evil bad guy, great casting, and Viggo. It's the Dark Man. Everyone calls him the Mummy Man, but Viggo Mortensen. It's not Viggo Mortensen. Vonderloo. Arnold Vonderloo. Anyway, he plays his henchman Pick. A couple of familiar faces in there. Normally the guy who rocks around with Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, he's in there. And then you've got Blaine from The Thing. You know, as the uncle. The Lass. Definitely seen The Lass in a few films. And the movie starts and, you know, it shows you the man on the run. So basically the story is these businessmen, henchmen all come into town, pay some homeless men 10 grand if they can get from 2 miles across the city, and they get to chase them down like a manhunt. Great story. Probably has happened. Probably still does happen. Hunting the ultimate prey. So, you know, the guy at the start, he gets murdered with some arrows. There's a lot of arrows killed in this. And his daughter comes looking for him. It's set in New Orleans-ish. It's got a very bluegrass vibe going down there, you know, especially a Hong Kong director coming in. It's got a very, you know, this bluegrassy music going along there. It's quite cool. And she basically goes around trying to finds out her dad was homeless. She's a bit like, oh my god. Big wad of cash. Wrong people are like spying on her. Van Damme, eyes are up in this, he's just hanging around in this fucking tea room. And basically she tries to get mugged by 4 people who are just really like subtly going to mug her. They just give her the backhand, which, give the film credit, she gets this big backhand, and later on she's got a little bit of bruise on her face. But anyway, after this backhand, Van Damme's just like, what are you doing? And he like takes his long coat to the side. I think he's going to pull a gun out. He's got his foot ready for kicking. Van Damme kicking. It is pretty brutal, actually. There's some stunts where you can go, yeah, Orient stunts, and there's some very typical Van Damme where it's, you see multiple angles, just slightly behind the take. The bit where the guy gets his face smashed off the is it the parking meter? It's absolute every time. Just every time, even if you watch it back, and it's just the noise, it's just brilliant. And then there's a bit where there's a guy goes through the window where Van Damme turns around and kicks the back of his head. And just the way the shots lined up, and it's just fucking, you know, like that's clearly done for the movie. But Van Damme is in a lot of the backward shots. Even if you look through the glass, you can see Van Damme's there. So this is when Van Damme was really into stunts and stuff like that. So basically, he doesn't get onto the ship, and she hires him to take her around, and they try and track down what happened to her dad, and Van Damme's like investigating and stuff like that. Another homeless man who you meet, he basically becomes the next victim, and then sort of the prey goes down to Van Damme, and Van Damme and the lass are on the run. And there's some pretty gnarly stunts, and there's some crazy bits where Van Damme's on a motorbike, and he gets up on the motorbike, and he's shooting on the motorbike, and then he's driving towards a car, and he's standing right up and then jumps over the car. It's a pretty gnarly stunt, you know what I mean, but it's like, what the fuck? Van Damme then later goes off into the jungle, and then he's like, she's going to give a good kiss, and then the snake appears, and Van Damme's just like, come here. You know, and it looks like a real snake when he pulls her over the shoulder, but then it doesn't look like a real snake, because literally in the next scene, Van Damme's laid a booby trap, and this guy's just walking along, kicks her up, and this fucking snake just jumps down on cue, and it's just like, what the fuck? And it even goes to the OTT of Lance Henriksen pulling up his gun and blowing the head off, and it's just like, what the fuck? So there's some weird shitty bitties in there, and as well, because there's a lot of great like Hong Kong meets Hollywood stunts in it. There's a lot of the times the stunt guys are like, didn't he just have a beard? No, it's a different guy. But yeah, anyway, the hunt continues. Ends up in some kind of old derelict fairground amusements and stuff like that. There's some great explosions. Van Damme gets some flips, gets some kicks. Even the bit where he kicks Lance Henriksen right here, and the blood coming out there. It's just really pushing the 18 rating. I believe the Blu-ray is uncut. And I was talking to Oliver Harper about this when it got out, because it did just get dumped out on Blu-ray, and Oliver asked how long it was. I know Oliver's a big fan of this Van Damme film particularly, but yeah, it's got a lot of stunts. It's got some funny bits, witty comedy. Van Damme looks really healthy in it, even though he's got this weird mullet going on there. But like some of the stunts are just crazy. You got the bike stunts. You've got what else? Jumping off onto the train. Good fighting scenes, arm getting broken and stuff. But as a kid, reminiscing over it when you would get nowhere to run, and Van Damme's just creeping around in a tent, you know, and you get a few beats and bashes and that. And this, you get the whole arm breaking, you get the fucking heads going, you get everyone getting shot. A lot of people seem to get shot in the stomach. Seems to be a popular theme. But there's some great the way it's set up. It's lush. For action, it's almost like a go-to Bible. Even the bit what got recreated later on with Face Off, with the whole back-to-back walls, and obviously you have the wall there and just put the camera there, and it creates great environment and settings. But yeah, I've had absolute joys just watching that. Had some giggles at some bits, rewound some bits. But yeah, just Van Damme in his heyday. As I say, it's got a blue cover. Lost a lot of its artwork, the old arrow pointing, but yeah, this was just heavily advertised, and like, again, when Van Damme was so popular, that was the one poster I remember seeing at the pictures and in at the video shop, and it's boom bang, Van Damme 18. But yeah, stuff like Legionnaire on VHS down there, Desert Heat's down there. Van Damme's done a lot of movies, especially when you want to talk about the Universal Soldier series. Wow, that's a fucking nightmare on its own. So yeah, the next one's going to be The Quest, because I've just bought that. And then I don't know where it's going to go. But I'm not going to try and revisit them other ones yet. I'm going to have a snoop around, see what I've got, see what I've bought. And again, the problem in the other room is there's loads of Nicolas Cage movies, there's loads of John Cusack movies, there's loads of Van Damme. So I was thinking, let's just get Van Damme out of the way. Right, I'll see you for the next one with The Quest. Okay, so number 2, film number 2. Now, Hard Target's a good film, and then years later, 2 decades later, Scott Adkins took over and did Hard Target 2, and it's a remake. It almost looks like a remake. T-Bag from Prison Break plays, you know, the same kind of character as Lance Henriksen. Got some good action stunts in there. Scott Adkins and Van Damme will appear together throughout this series. But I've just finished watching The Quest 101 release. Did an alright job, very grainy in some bits, very camera shaky. And what is The Quest? Now, it's directed by Jean-Claude Van Damme, and this came along, got a big push. Just that iconicness of just Van Damme, The Quest. But this is around the time he was doing stuff like Legionnaire and weird stuff like that. And I've just put this on and watched it. And the score is a little bit repetitive. I even think it's got samples from Anaconda in there. Does anyone know that? It's a very similar score, but it looks a big budget movie. Van Damme has done the expense. Now, Van Damme at the start turns up as an old man like Christopher Lambert does in Highlander 2, and Fast and Furious 6 is playing next door in the other room. Now, Van Damme comes up and he's Kim the Old, and he just comes in this bar, and this guy's like, do you want a drink? And then these 3 folks just come in, proper typical, like, cast forth looking folks. And then Van Damme, with his stick, just takes them down and tells them the story, and it flashes back to the early 20s, and Van Damme's dressed as a clown, and he's, you know, looking after all these orphans. He's a Dufour. He just looks after all these orphans, and you think, okay. Anyway, so Van Damme gets on the wrong side of the law, and the gangsters, and ends up on a stowaway ship. Goes right across the seas, ends up getting sold after a little bit of a ship battle. Roger Moore takes him on as his little slave, and then basically gets traded off on a Muay island, and we get Van Damme left there for a bit. And then, next scene, but a while later, Van Damme's now a Muay Thai fighter, and Roger Moore, Sir Roger Moore, just happens to be like, oh look, it's Charles. Oh shit, Chance. No, it's not Chance, it's Charles. Anyway, borrowing more elements from Bloodsport. A young reporter wants to see what's going on. Seen that before in Bloodsport, haven't we? And it starts to show you who the baddies is. We get the sumo guy, we get the Chinese guy, we get the crazy monkey guy, we get a really big guy, we get an evil looking Turkish guy, we get, you know, the Scottish guy has a kilt on, you know what I mean, the Americans, the boxing. Throws all the characters together, you know, just like Bloodsport did. No montages, like probably cheesy montages. No Forrest Whitaker running after him. There's a montage going on, but you know, Van Damme ends up, the guy who was in Warriors, who was going to be in Aliens, but also plays Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He's in this, and Van Damme's like takes over his place. After this is the world American boxing champion. Van Damme kicks him in the leg, punches him in the head, and he's you can represent me. And it's just like, okay, whatever. But anyway, we get the fight again. Starts borrowing a bit from Kickboxer as well. And the fighting choreography is all good. It's Van Damme's typical. Some of the slow motion bits do look a bit blurry, or have been shot in slow motion. Van Damme's notorious for repetitive kicks, wind kicks, fighting punches, uppercuts, multiple angles, just slightly delayed. There's a lot of that in here. Meanwhile, Roger Moore, in a blimp, trying to steal a massive dragon made of gold. They're trying to hoist this thing up. That's funny enough, I've got a blimp hanging from the ceiling, if anyone knows my editing room. Turtle blimps up there. So yeah, that's going down. And then the fighting. And then, you know, Van Damme's friend from the island, he gets beaten up. Again, we've seen that in Bloodsport and Kickboxer. He's going, I'm going to get you. I think it's a Mongolian guy. And then the fight at the end, big fight, and it turns in from the ring. You know, it ends up out. Brawl for all. Van Damme does his trademark scissor kick across the face. And, you know, just ends up nicely on there. Van Damme gets the girl, like Bloodsport. But, you know, Van Damme, scenic-wise, footage, you know, it's big scale. You know, it's done well. It's not super cheapy. It means universal. 1996 this was made, so around about Street Fighter kind of times and that. I see there's another film with Van Damme's I've watched recently, did a review on random. And now I want to do it again for the series. But yeah, it's not a... I mean, to me personally, it's a what the fuck film because it's a remake of Bloodsport and Kickboxer. You know, and it's Van Damme's a clown in it, dressed as Dupard, running around fucking New York City and all that. And it's, yeah, it's definitely a what the fuck for that one. So I thought it's good. That's what the fuck. But if you're a Van Damme fight, you've never seen it. It's directed by Van Damme, so he has a lot of fun with the edit, as I said before. There is a lot of different styles of fighting. They've took great detail in that. And again, it sort of builds it up like a tournament, like watching UFC. Like, ooh, that guy's got that style. Then you go, oh, that guy's going to be fighting that guy and that kind of stuff. And it all goes that way. So yeah. Next up, no idea. I'm going to go in the other room, find out what the fuck's going on that television. And try and get another Van Damme film. So that's 2 down. 8 to go for this Good, the Bad, and the What the Fucks. Okay, here we are. This is definitely a What the Fuck movie. For a couple of reasons, actually. It's been on the shelf for quite a while, and the room was right at the bottom. I don't remember seeing this. This came out around the time Van Damme had a lot of... I mean, it's a Millennium movie. So this came out a lot of time when In Hell came out and derailed. Van Damme was chucking quite a lot of movies out. So this is The Order. Now check that price out. It's proper sticker, $19.99. It's like an Asda. So bright that light. Sorry, there you go. It's like an Asda one. The Order, Unleash the Power. No extra features. 20 Bosch. Not a flip cover. It does have like scene selections. The start. Egg thief. Right. So I've just watched this. I try to pay a bit of attention. I'm doing some editing, so I've watched it through. Starts off a bit of a pilgrimage backstory, like Van Damme, then another old guy, and it shows you how he starts out like almost like a knight on a crusade, you know, and it shows you how they're trying to find this order of this writings of this guy in the promised land and all this kind of stuff. You know, what's going on here? Then it cuts to Van Damme one time. Like a bit of a dual thief going on there. And then, so you know, Van Damme's painted like black and blue, robbing a bank. Doesn't go very well. Robbing a bank, he's robbing a museum, he's trying to get this egg. That's the egg thief. Gets the egg thief, catches up with his dad, has a bit of a comedy twist with his dad. Quirky little music, and his dad go missing, so it's like Boris from Indiana Jones, I think. And The Last Crusade, he goes to try and find his dad. Gets in a few fights. Then the bad guy from the quest turns up. I was like, what? So the big guy at the end of the quest, he has this big brawl with. He has a brawl with him. Then he gets dressed as a rabbi, and you think, what's going on here? Chasing down. Then the guy from, he's been in loads of movies. In Cobra, he plays. He's in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He's in the X-Files. He's in loads of films. He turns up, walks away from an explosion, murdering people. And there's a story gets a bit mixed up and that, and I was trying to follow it, and they're trying to collect something back, and then there's a fight at the end, and there's a bomb, got to sabotage the bomb going off, and then the movie just ended, and before the end credits come up, there's like this montage of Van Damme's stunts, falls, and then it goes in a weird outtakes, and it's like, what the fuck's going on with this movie? So yeah, the action superstar Jean-Claude Van Damme, Nowhere to Run, Universal Soldier, they're quite old ones, is back in The Order. Fast-paced, iconic thriller set in Middle East from the director of Double Impact, didn't know that, and featuring screen legends Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes. That's the guy who picks up. There's quite a quick little homage to The Italian Job, little car chase down narrow streets and all that, you know. Who else we got in this? Ben Cross, First Night, Chariots of Fire. The sexy newcomer, Sophia Moros, The Order. Exciting adventure packed with extreme fight choreography, locations, journey. World under siege, reformed artifact smuggler, Ruby Van Damme travels to Jerusalem to rescue his museum father, who's been kidnapped by the ruthless. So yeah, pretty much set in the Middle East. 2001's got copyright on the back. So about the chapter selections really. Egg Thief, Oscar, The Lost Chapter, Fantastic Club, Welcome to Israel, Professor Finley, Buckle Up, Finley's Murder, so I missed that bit. Charlton Heston there. Bon voyage is when the bomb goes down the mine at the end. Wow. But yeah, that's it. It's really, I didn't know what was going on, you know, like I was doing some editing, watching back, and he's a Muslim. Actually, he's painted black and blue, running around. The action was pretty decent. Not many Van Damme rehearsals and all that. But then the bad guy from the Quest turned up. What was the fuck? And there's a couple of people you just recognise. And then the montage at the end. So that's been on the shelf. That was second off the bottom. So on the shelf there was stuff like the Bouncer. Bought that, never opened it. It's got a weird cover. Can't wait to watch that because of the weird cover. What else? No Retreat, No Surrender. I've seen the VHS over there. Maximum Risks over there. There's a lot of love for Van Damme in this room. Like, there's a lot of Van Damme movies knocking around. Kickboxers knocking around on VHS. Quite a few different Kickboxers, actually. And saying that, I did watch Kickboxer 3 not long ago. I didn't do with Van Damme, obviously. What else is in the room? There was a couple. Oh, Wake of the Dead's in there. A couple of Van Damme movies on that shelf. There's a couple. We'll get them. I don't know what's next. That's 3 Van Dammes in a movie. It's a good start to getting the good, the bad, the what the fucks with Van Damme. It's not by any means a really bad movie. It's Middle East. It's one of the ones that came direct out on DVD. Would have been a big seller, especially on DVD. This is a really early DVD in general. £20, man. Fucking hell. As I say, it's just quirky. The music's cued weirdly. The swipe effects left and right and up and down, like the transitions between scenes and back to what they were talking about, was really cheesy in some bits as well. But yeah, 15 rated. A little quirkiness. Van Damme, The Order. See you in the next one. Okay, Street Fighter. Entry number 4. The late night end to the New Zealand video I'm doing, and yes, I've had a few beers before this one even starts. I put Street Fighter on the background because recently I've redone it when I did the Assassin video, which about a year ago. It's about a year ago I did. Just back in the sky there. I filmed the review for it when I was packing down all the stuff for the Assassin music video in the old courthouse, and there's even a nice little cheeky cameo across a Games Galaxy across the road, me trying to play on the Street Fighter arcade machine, which I totally fail at. I want to see this in the pictures with my nana, and at the time it was like Street Fighter was coming out, Mortal Kombat was coming out, and the backstories of the characters weren't very like clear what the were. It's just a fighting game, you know, so like trying to bring in who these backstories are. I think Mortal Kombat justified it better. It's made by someone from the northeast of England, of course it is. I say Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter there. Anyway, Street Fighter. It's a Van Damme movie, this, so it's a good movie for what it is. It's a time. Van Damme, it's like, is peak. Van Damme could have been Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, but Van Damme is Guile. Britney's in the other room asleep. Van Damme is Belgium. Guile is American. Okay, Kylie Minogue's in this as well. E Honda is Japanese, but he's a Hawaiian. Okay, so fucking forget about casting. By the end of the movie, everyone's got like what you know now from the video game. You know, Dal Sims became bald and has chains around his neck. Blanca's got a massive forehead and ginger hair. At the start of the movie, it doesn't start like that. Again, Mortal Kombat to me personally is the better film of the two. But when we talk about Van Damme movie, even though he's got ginger hair, Kyle's definitely blonde and American. Perfect casting for the time. Watching it back there's some great bits there. Gee, quick, change your channel. There's Butterfinger from Hudson Hawk says, quick, change your channel. There's a lot of Sagat. I mean, how big Sagat in the game? You know, okay. Gets everyone in there though. That's the most important thing. Raw, Gomez Adams, Raju. Fucking brilliant last performance. Well done. Like literally, I'm not being funny, but like, fucking amazing actor. Like I knew him from the Addams Family, then to see him as M. Bison in this, It's fucking class. Even that creepy bit where everyone gets gassed and he's got his fucking eyes wide open. Wow. Creepy shit. Chung-Li, you need to watch the movie Wesley Snipes One Night Stand if you even like her. Wow. But no, there's a lot of people in it who quite famous. The guy from Jurassic World turns up randomly, like not worrying about John Hammond, he's worrying about M. Bison. And you know, it's the same actor and almost the same character. But no, trying to tangle it all into a story. And who's good, who's bad. Even DJ, because at the time DJ was a very fresh character in the UK. Because DJ and the Indian guy and Cammy, again, they were the new add-ons, they were the new characters. Bringing them all in and chucking them into a storyline by the time is awesome. Makes no fucking sense. There's some great special effects. It tries to bring in all the signature moves, especially Van Damme at the end when he gets into a fight and he's doing the guile kick, and even does his old from Hard Target when he flips around and kicks him in the back of the head. This got it a little bit better than John Woo, which is pretty cool. Why am I glowing? What the hell is going on here? I'm not glowing. Bison's going to come back to life. It gets a bit silly, especially when Balrog winds up his hand and punches. It's like, what? Then you've got Zangief, Butterfingers again, and E Honda fighting, and you've got the Godzilla track in the background. It's just, you know, hear Godzilla roaring away in the background, and yeah, okay. Kylie Minogue looks absolutely amazing in this. So they're well cast. There was a video game I wish I played back in the day. Because I was more of a Mortal Kombat fan because I had a Mega Drive. Street Fighter was for the NES, but everyone knows what Street Fighter is from that era. Just to see in the movie, I do have it on VHS, knocking it around. I've kept the flip cover. They got two different covers, and I've just watched the Steelbook, which is the only way I've seen it available. But when it comes to Van Damme, the good, the bad, and the what the fucks, it's good. For the point that it's that peak of Van Damme. You know, you can say it's a what the fuck movie, but again, trying to appeal to the mass market, it's, you know, against Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's a better film for me, but you know, pure cheese, Van Damme, you know what I mean, it's just perfect for that time, what Van Damme was, and the money draw, perfect. Over the top. I mean, even Kylie Minogue looks like she's laughing when Van Damme's like trying to kiss her against the tree and all that, and they go, hey, remember last night? But yeah, I've enjoyed it again. As I say, check out my other review fully for this, but part of the series, it's a fourth Van Damme movie. It's a good movie. Again, I've seen it so many times, and actually seen this one in the pictures and dedicate this one to me nana. I have a picture stuck to the wall. Because she took me one day to go, right, you want to see Street Fighter, let's take him. So the next one will be in a couple of days, or probably tomorrow, Wake of Dead, or, you know, some random Van Damme film. But it's got some cheese, it's got some really bad bits. Trying to work out what Blanca is, it's like, what the fuck? I mean, at the end of the day, they try to show you what Blanca is, and then you realise, what the fucking Dal Sim's going on here? But yeah, see you next bit. Okay, so yeah, Street Fighter the other night. Don't remember the film, never mind the review, so God knows what was going on about there. I watched The Quest that night, the audio commentary, and the funny thing about The Quest is whoever was doing the audio commentary, it was Mike Lena and Arnie Venderman. They're on about Anaconda soundtrack, and they're on about the movie starting like Christopher Lambert, but they're on about how it was going to be a Bloodsport retelling, but Frank Dukes, who's a real person, got involved and Enter the Dragon coincidence, and the film kind of suffered, so they had to fill in the void of some of the scenes that completely got chucked out and just thrown in. So it was interesting, watch that. So anyway, back with Van Damme, I've just pulled out this movie, Blu-ray. It's not even opened. I've had that in the old house. That's how long ago I've had that. I've had that for about 4 years. I think it's Anne Van Damme. So yeah, we'll see what's going down there. It's called Dragon Eyes. Never seen it. And I've just basically I've got Amazon Prime on me computer. Brit signed in just before I went to New Zealand, and I was like, oh, Van Damme films, let's have a flashbox, see what's going on there. And Jean-Claude Van Johnson is on there. So I just watched the first 3 episodes back to back. Some of it I have absolutely laughed my head off. Sometimes I've stopped what I'm doing editing, I've paid a lot of attention. The story is Jean-Claude Van Damme is playing himself, but he's also a very trained killer spy and wants to get back into the spy game while working on a film in Bulgaria called Hook, which is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn. It's a fucking crazy action thing with a toothbrush, a paintbrush. And it's mental because it makes references to Van Damme's movies, Bloodsport's in there. Time Cop is heavily referenced as Philippe, as has turned up, who is a Van Damme from the future. And Van Damme makes a lot of references that Time Cop's better than Looper. You know, he's basically trying to get the scenario. Some guys created a weather machine and they've stolen it. And the big budget, like, off the cuff kind of things are really funny. It's showing you how the film they're trying to make is disastrous. On the night time he's going out street racing. Van Damme is constantly dressing up with stuff, and you know, as I say, he's just like trying to get this girl back as well, and he's playing against himself, and it's really funny. So I'm enjoying that so far. I'm up to episode 4 if you're lucky. I think there's only like, hang on, let's have a quick look. Seeing how many episodes there is. There's only 6 episodes, so I want to start with there, and then I'm going to watch Dragon Eyes and come back. I'll class the entire series as 1 entry, so that's quite good because that's 5. This will be 6. So speeding along with Van Damme, the good, the bad, the what the fucks. It is a what the fuck series because you just don't know what he's going to do next. It is hilariously funny and only on Amazon Prime. Another film I remember is Amazon Prime as well, Enemies Closer, which is on there in the Blu-ray in the background, which is a film, obviously was a fast forward review, so I'm trying not to revisit everything, but I nearly watched Death Warrant this morning before I watched that, just so I can revisit it rather than put the old reviews in, keep this fresh and more up to date, and see how coincidentally I'll talk about a movie then and talk about a movie now, and you know, it's up to you to discover, because I'll not watch them. Anyway, let's get to Dragon Eyes. Okay, so Dragon Eyes. Finally opened it and finally watched it. It's one of those films where Jean-Claude Van Damme is the and character. So even though he's billed on the front, he's hardly in it. Peter Weller's in this as well, also known as RoboCop. My lighting technician. Now I'm sitting down here. There's the tiger. It's about the tiger, I'll tell you in a second, but with the light on down there. Yeah. No, failed. Lighting technician. Thing is, this movie's very orange anyway, and at night time it's very crisp, so it's been shot on red-eye cameras by the looks of it. Van Damme stuff, it's got very blue colour. Van Damme appears at the start. This looks about the same time he filmed Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning, because he's got his head shaved. Plays like the mentor to Chung-Li here, this guy. It's not as, I mean, it's hard hitting, there's some great action in it, but it's basically set in America. Drug lords, gangs, guy just wanting to get by, wants to rent a house, and gets caught up in the local gangs where they're like, you can't park there. And he has a fight with them. Some brutal bits in it. Van Damme keeps flashing back to Van Damme in prison, show him the way of the ropes and like the mentor type of thing. So yeah, you think you're getting a Van Damme film. Now it's been on IMDb for a while that there is a sequel to this or coming out and Van Damme was connected. I haven't chased that up. Probably will by the next one. Doesn't he really? Oh yeah. Peter Weller, RoboCop. Mentions Time Cop on the back of here, of course it does. But there's a really funny bit when this guy is absolutely bricked out of his face with his other mate, and he's saying that somebody in his house, and he's on about how the tiger freaks him out and a shotguns, and it's extremely funny. It just doesn't really fit within the movie. Van Damme, it is a what the fuck movie for Van Damme, but the movie bounces really well. The soundtrack's really good, it's very hip. So Van Damme is just the and character. So, you know, it's just one of those paychecks for Van Damme, really. But he shouldn't be branded number 1, and Peter Weller should have his name on top of there. But they've slapped from The Matrix and Sherlock Holmes on it. Brutal deaths, some really nice camera work in it as well. So, yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just if you're expecting to see a Van Damme, there's a little low of Van Damme. Probably had him for about a week. There's a scene at the prison, then there's a scene in the prison cell, and then there's a bit of a shootout where Van Damme realises while he's in there and he's a bad guy. But yeah, some hard hitting action, But the storyline's basically gang corrupt. Makes us want to play Sleeping Dogs. So yeah, that was Dragon Eyes. Finally watched, and we'll get to another one soon. Okay, so this is definitely a bad movie. Still got stickers on from good old That's Entertainment. $1.99 or free for £5. That can come off. Oh, it's not going to come off, is it? Oh yeah. I think I picked this up for £1. It's got £1 written on it. So Jean-Claude Van Damme starring in Second in Command. This has got Bulgaria written all over it. It's got a very drained colour all the way through the movie. This came out, I think, normally under like Fight Factory. This one comes with a little arcade. Advertising Bad Boys 2, Walking Tall, The Punisher, Welcome to the Jungle. Chapter selections: the start, the terrorist activity, the briefing, the president's protection. Right, okay, so this basically is White House Down before White House Down, really. It's time to take charge. Van Damme comes in as this colonel, has his hat on and everything. And it's about 26 minutes before anything really happens when Van Damme fighting. And there's a bit where he just gouges somebody's eyes out. So fucking hell, that's pretty brutal. But there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of like, this person's going to attack this person. The president's in danger. And they all get sort of stuck in this American bunker, but it's somewhere in, again, Bulgaria. There's a guy walking around trying to film it for a documentary. He's always filming on his camera, but it's a really old, small. When cameras just came out and you had the flip screen, and he's filming it like that. So there's a lot of the footage inputted from that in, which hasn't held up pretty good. I mean, it hasn't been treated that well. Again, with that colour grain, it's fucking horrible. Van Damme seems to have took, about a month's work on this. He's in it throughout, but there's a lot of dialogue. There's a very little action until really the end when they get stuck in the catacombs. It looks like they've blocked off a whole street, or had a whole street to play with in Bulgaria, like a dead-end street. There's a bit which is absolutely appalling near the end, when there's an American flag waving and 2 helicopters coming over the top. It looks absolutely terrible, how should I say? Fuck, like literally, what the fuck. Van Damme, I don't think Van Damme really ever dials in his performance. I think when Van Damme dials in his performance, he doesn't do that much action. He's kind of trying to take a serious role here. A little bit of action kicks in, good knife fights at the end, but again there's a bit where the guy, Van Damme tells this guy to like close that tunnel with a grenade. He jumps in and goes, fire in the hole. Again, the only people coming down the tunnel are the bad guys after them, so like, heads up, I'm going to put a grenade down there. And the CGI what follows is like, fuck, like, oh, it's just nasty. So yeah, it's definitely a bad movie. It's the worst one I've seen in this bunch, from Van Johnson and Dragon Eyes today, and now this. It's just fucked. No, but really, really, like, tries to be a little bit of a love interest. Why? He's a commander coming in, and the place gets taken over. That's alright. An explosive, political. It's too late. But yeah, that's a bad film. So it's one of them. Slap his face on it. But he's there, but he's not the Anne character. But the CGI and stuff's fucking terrible. Like, so. But yeah, very grained of colour. Little or no action for that one. So that's the first bad one I think for this bunch. So I'll be watching another one tonight, but tomorrow, it's going to see something horrible. Okay, so tonight's festivities came from way down in the corner there. I was looking for Universal Soldier because I thought I need to start Universal Soldier, because you've got Universal Soldier, you've got Universal Return, you've got Universal 2 and 3. In between them, Universal Soldier Regeneration, then Day of Reckoning. So, approximately there could be about 4 volumes of Van Damme, and it'd be cool to do Universal Soldier. Then you've got Kickboxer as well. But anyway, Double Team. This is pretty hyped back in the day. This is probably one of Van Damme's last big I don't know if it hit the cinemas. It definitely got to hit the cinemas, but then obviously it was a big release, especially in the early days of DVD, I think. Van Damme, Dennis Rodman, Mickey Rourke. So Dennis Rodman had been in the wrestling. He's massive for basketball. Obviously takes a lot of hints from Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man. Van Damme on the front cover. It's an 18 rated. Again, just after the Matrix generation, so Watching it back there, storyline's pretty cool. Van Damme's trying to hunt down Mickey Rourke. He does a sort of Castor Troy double take where Castor Troy would pull the trigger to kill his arch enemy. He doesn't pull it because he's got a son, because he's got morals. And then Mickey Rourke just stands up and fucking shoots a sniper rifle right through the fucking head from the other side of the room. It's like, what the fuck? So anyway, things don't go to plan, and Van Damme is presumed dead after trying to track down Mickey Rourke. There's a lot of glass smashing in this movie. Even when Mickey Rourke's just running away and he fucking smashes a guy through the glass, the guy goes through the glass, he jumps up and just kicks the glass for no reason. But after this hospital blowout, Van Damme ends up on the island, and the colony, it's called, and he wakes up and he's part of an international tactical team. He has no communication with the outside world. That's a pretty interesting concept, and somebody's got to be back by the room every day putting his thumb on the button. And very quickly Van Damme devises a plan to escape, and it's a pretty mental plan actually, because he works out. I mean, Van Damme, he probably gets himself into shape to break out, and then he fucking fucks a bath, like literally, you know, because he's a bit injured after this bomb, and he's doing all these splits and his stretches and stuff, and then he's holding his breath underwater, and then just like, what the fuck's he doing? He looks like he's fucking a bath. Yeah, that's what it looked like. So after Van Damme's finished fucking the bath, he jumps into this water, and he's swimming over, trying to get on the airplane and get zoomed off. And just a guy, I mean, imagine that's your job. You're a scuba guy waiting with a plastic bag underneath the water every week or so. So yeah, Van Damme just heightened the tension of getting. He's not going to make it. There's a scuba guy. Has a scuba fight. So anyway, he gets on the plane. Then he fights with guys. Have you got a parachute? Yep. Kicks him off. Kicks that one off. Kicks that one off. And just as he holds a gun to the pilot's head, he starts talking. Just fades. And you don't really like. Just fades weirdly. Now Dennis Rodman appeared earlier on in the movie. As someone Van Damme gets the equipment from him, Dennis Rodman reappears here and kind of takes the guy. Dennis Rodman looks huge against Van Damme. Changes his hair colour every scene, and them two sort of like team up, so to speak. And this is where a lot of the basketball references come in, especially when Van Damme then jumps out of another plane with Dennis Rodman. This time, instead of having a parachute, it turns into a giant basketball. They're like, what the fuck? Anyway, as these two land on the floor, Van Damme finds out that Mickey Rourke has stole his wife and his baby, and he's not at home. His house blows up. And a pretty heavily used trailer shot of Van Damme, like big explosion. This movie heavily suffers from its fire effects that haven't aged well. They're not too much more than Mortal Kombat Annihilation fire effects. There's just something about fire at this particular time in CGI that they were getting there, but it's just not mastered. So anyway, Van Damme tries to track down the big combination of where he is, and yeah, it reminds me like when The Gathering. It's got a bit of a Hudson Hawk vibe to it. It just goes a bit spoofy, and then there's this big climax fight in the Colosseum, and there's a tiger, and just like real tiger, not real tiger, fight with a tiger. Van Damme fighting kicks. The little ending scene with Mickey Rourke, I don't think it's very good edited in a way. This Van Damme's typical like repeating, and that doesn't really shine in this. The composites with the tiger look a bit there. Dennis Rodman brings in a huge bit of comedy in it, and like Dennis Rodman, he was only what Simon Says is a movie he made after this, which is pretty rare now. He's probably popped up in a few cameos, but like, you know, just disappeared. And then they get saved by the end by a Coca-Cola machine, which obviously must have paid for all of the special effects, that endorsement there. But no, his target is dangerous, the terrorist Serranos. Basketball superstar Van Dennis Rodman. But no, it's got a fucking massive G written on there. What's that about? As I say, just pulled that out the shelf there. Shit, it's tired. It's gone 1 o'clock in the morning. But no, I enjoyed it. Made us laugh a few times. A few good action scenes. It's not uber violent and all that, but Mickey Rourke is a very good nemesis in it. And for the time, the whole, obviously the Matrix generation, even the colour concept, it's really cool. I mean, at the start of the movie, it says starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. You don't need that when Van Damme slapped all over it, you know. But just the colour effects looks really good. Almost, it's got a bit of Street Fighter on the front cover as well. The cover's just style. It's tired. Right, so I don't know what's going to be next. It will not be Double Impact. But yeah, as I say, you can even see where I've pulled it out the shelf. So I better go and fix that. See you in the next video. I just finished Time Cop. Just gone 1:30 in the morning. Fuck. So yeah, in the future, the discovery of really where the spaceship goes. Where does the spaceship go? I don't care what the future says. It doesn't really make any sense where the spaceship goes, even in the future. But like the whole bubble effect and he's disappearing, it's good. I mean, the whole bit with the truck as well, really. You want to go to the future, you can go back to the past, 25 years ago. Okay, so yeah, I've just watched Time Cop now. I've got Time Cop on VHS, and tonight I thought, right, I better get down and find Universal Soldier. And I had to go look around for Universal Soldier, and it's got like very red font, grey spine, and like this. You can see how many fucking films are behind me. It's just like dig. Blu-rays, A to Z. Fifth Element on VHS somewhere. I managed to dig out Kickboxer, Time Cop, and Nowhere to Run. Spotted a few more like Swelter, which I know I have on Blu-ray, and you know Blu-ray's got stuff like Enemy Closer. I wanted to revisit and stuff like that. And no sign of Universal Soldier. I thought, get one Universal Soldier in this review rant random. It's not even a review rant random. It's good, the bad, and the what the fucks. And then you could probably like get the Return in, which I've seen at the pictures. And then get Day of Reckoning and Resurrection. But I didn't even say The Return. So yeah, I'm going to have a good look for them. Anyway, I've just watched Time Cop, and Time Cop is heavily mentioned in Jean-Claude Van Johnson. And this is not the first time, but it is the first time in the series that there's two Van Dammes. Van Damme loves being a twin. The Replicant, Double Impact, Maximum Risk. Could be another Van Damme in Expendables 2. Expendables 4. So anyway, Van Damme. This one, to me personally, lives in the world of Judge Dredd, Dumb and Dumber, Batman Forever, Speed. When you'd go at the pictures and you'd see all these coming soon posters, and this is Van Damme. It is right at his peak. To me personally, seeing the pictures, it's a film that you're going to see at the pictures and going to have to wait. I think it's a very strong film. I think it's well executed. I think Van Damme is on top performance in this. CGI is jumping ahead, which you know hasn't aged well. The very end with the Thing tribute just doesn't look good. Looks better than the Blood God from Blade, but brilliant casting by the way for the two actors who play the bad guy. Like Van Damme plays him 10 years and 10 years later, but the actor who plays himself, who looks at the guy who's not the guy from Die Hard, is a really good guy. Then you got the last from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's the only film I can think of her also in. But anyway, the storyline is Van Damme is living his life, walking around, showing people the bottom of his shoe, going, I want to be Wolverine, and takes a new job. But unfortunately, when he gets home that night, he gets called out. His wife gets killed, the house gets blown up, doesn't know much about it, becomes a time cop. And it's pretty cool to start the movie. The guy just basically like holds up an armful of guards on horses, and he's got like laser sighted machine guns, and he's off stealing money. And it shows you how like the world could be, how the ability of time travel's there, but you need to police it. So Van Damme's working for them. And it's pretty scary, and it's pretty, you know, you look into the wormhole like Predestination and stuff like that, and the butterfly effect, and the film tiptoes around it, but doesn't give you many loopholes to go, wait a minute, not like Predestination. Have you seen that? Fuck my life. I still think about that movie today and go, But no, anyway. It's got a bit of action in there as it jumps up the future. The biggest plot hole of the movie, right? And I've just asked Oliver Harper this. Where the fuck does the fucking space rocket go? Not even a space rocket. Like, borrowing a bit from Stargate. There's Stargate. We're going to take a rocket ship, fly towards that. And the whole bubble effect happens. Then the next thing you know, he walks out in front of a truck. Doug, there's a truck. You know, it's a really good imagery, but where's the rocket go? Again, when the guy goes back at the start, when the guy's looking through the New York Times and all that, and he sticks in his MP3 player, and Van Damme walks out into his office through a bubble effect. They jump out the window, they fall to the floor, go through the bubble effect, they come back in the space rocket, and he gets sentenced to death. So the space rocket just disappears. It's like when the girl goes with him for the first time, and she's just sort of pulling these weird fucking faces and shitting herself, while Van Damme just takes out some spearmint gum and sticks it behind the machine, and they're all screaming. Next thing you know, they drop from into the river. Where does the space rocket go? But it's a pretty cool bit in it. It's not in the back of the. This is from Global Video. This because they've got the fucking prison video. But one of the most iconic things in the movie is Van Damme sporting a half bobbin mullet. Let's say when I'm sporting the bullets, if you look behind Therapy there, right in that deep down corner, the last Blu-ray DVD is Hard Target. So I know what Hard Target is on DVD, but the bit where he has a fight, he wakes up and the messages wakes him up and he has a fight and 50,000 volts, and he jumps up and does the splits. Just like classic Van Damme, that. Classic. Some good hard hitting bits. There's a bit where a guy gets his arm froze that I thought was pretty cool. Still holds up, you know what I mean? It's tip tap in a row around. Did I say row? Around. Wow. How many beers have I had tonight? 3. Yeah. It's pretty good. The score's really good. The guy who directed it went on to direct Enemies Closer, which is another Van Damme film. I've done a fast forward review. You know, it all goes full circle. I like it how the movie catches up with itself, and Van Damme comes back and he's trying to find good and he's trying to save his wife. In the end though, like, he grabs his son, he's like, oh, I've missed you, and I'm like, you don't even know that kid. You don't even know when his birthday is. You don't even know when he was born. It's that, you know, the butterfly effect, and his nose hasn't bled and he hasn't worked out what's gone and what he's missed out. But it's a solid, like, Van Damme movie, I think, for the time. You know, I remember it coming out, it was really heavily advertised, and you know, it's good. I've just really enjoyed it. I've seen it so many times. It does bug us that on VHS it was very greeny, on DVD it's very reddy, and on Blu-ray it's very bluey when it comes to font. But no, I fucking really enjoyed that. It has got some funny bits, but again, it's really good casting with the bad guys, except for the guy who's got the fucking super big mullet. The guy must have been watching The Highlander, went, let's get someone like the Kurgan. But yeah, 2 Van Dammes in a movie, what more do you want? So yeah, I found Kickboxer, and Nowhere to Run. Got stuff like Legionnaire over there, Replicant. There's probably some more. No Retreat, No Surrender. Universal Soldier on VHS is there. So I've been a big Bloodsport is there. I've been a big fan of Van Damme. There's loads of Van Damme on VHS. When I move and all that's got to move, I'll be putting these together, going, right, there's a Van Damme collection on VHS. So yeah, that'll be one tonight, but there's only going to be 2 more, I think, by the time Jean-Claude Van Johnson gets part 2. And I don't know whether to throw Kickboxer in there and do Kickboxer and Kickboxer Vengeance and then Kickboxer Retribution. So there's 3 Kickboxer movies together. And then the Universal Soldiers. Get Nowhere at the Runner. I don't know. There's all kinds of Van Dammes. I mean, JVC is just there as well. It's never going to end with Van Damme. It's definitely a new Good, the Bad, the What the Fucks. But no, that Time Cop is a good film. Okay. So, I spoke to Oliver Harper last night and he has no idea what the space rocket goes to. The space rocket, it's even a space rocket, it's a fucking time rocket, it just disappears. It's the elephant in the room you don't want to talk about. But yeah, none of us are a massive fan of Van Damme, and especially sudden death, so I'll get to sudden death probably the next time around. But yeah, that space rocket just disappeared. Now, what's the next Van Damme film? Well, it's a total what the fuck movie. Because it is Last Action Hero. Yep, what the fuck. Van Damme has a brief cameo in the movie. Fell on the floor, you know, whoops. Brief cameo in the movie, along with Damon Wayans, James Belushi, Sharon Stone, Humphrey Bogart's in this. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, every time you watch this movie, it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's just brilliant. Still got an action figure up on the roof there, still sealed. Arnold Schwarzenegger, John McTiernan, the director of Predator, and when he can remember fucking Predator, and Die Hard, he collaborates. The score's really good, and it's basically a film that is so, it breaks the fourth wall, it shatters the fourth wall, and it's just amazing. Everything from Schwarzenegger going into a video shop, and I was taking pictures last night, Boys in the Hood posters behind him, because that was coming out at the time. But like Sylvester Stallone being in Terminator 2, you know, Danny DeVito is the fucking cartoon cat. The cast, the cameos, it's unbelievable. It's self-aware, it's funny, it really turns the cheek on the head to all of it. And then at the end, Van Damme turns up and like, what the fuck? Van Damme's in it. So yeah, not very good transfer on Blu-ray though. The front cover, the original artwork, which I do have a book. Naked in Jurassic Park, Starship Troopers, Ninja Turtles, E.T. There we go. But this is the book that fell a bit. There you go, Last Action Hero. Amazing front cover artwork. This is the one that fell a bit, isn't it? So, done a book rant about this. So you can see as I open it up and have a good flick through it there. I don't remember that in the film. The gigantic Jack Slater. So I wasn't been watching the movie there. But no, it's got, there's so many people, man. Rick Dukerman's in there. It's class. But yeah. So after I watched Time Cop last night, I stuck Last Action Hero on, watched half, and then just watched the end of it there. So in the good, the bad, and what the fucks. And I found Universal Soldier: The Return behind the television. So the hunt for Universal Soldier is still on. Right, next film. So it's the 20th of March today, technically. Yeah, it's the 20th of March. The world's gone pretty mad outside. I've just finished Jean-Claude Van Johnson. Unfortunately, this TV show has been finished. You can see the weekend touring worktops right the way through. Wearing a weekend t-shirt now out. It's the glare of the camera. I hate that jumper. Anyway, so I've watched, it's only 6 episodes, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. Picked it up tonight in episode 4. Found it quite funny with the huge guy with marble hands, and then Philippe coming back, and then there's another Van Damme from the future, and the Time Cop reference is really funny. I was like, cool. Then you got to see the premiere of Huckleberry Finn, and it sort of led off. Then the last 2 episodes have just been really bland. Like, I was like, what's going on here? And Van Damme does the splits to save the day, and a helicopter opening up and stuff like that. But there's a couple of good fight scenes and all that, but I found it very weak, the last 2, and then it's been left on a cliffhanger. So, I mean, being Amazon Prime, when a show like that gets cancelled, or any kind of show, like My Name is Earl, they always should do a conclusion, you know, because the fans are going to want to know, as long as you wrap it up. So, Jean-Claude Van Johnson, it's good. It's not bad. Van Damme has a lot of fun with it. It's good. If you're a Van Damme fan, you've never seen it, there's some brilliant references to Time Cop. There's a lot of in-it jokes. Even when he jumps up and does the dim sum, you know, the thing from Bloodsport, and everyone's just like, and everyone's like reacting to it and stuff like that. That's pretty funny as well. So, we had Jean-Claude Van Johnson in all the films are here. So, Last Action Hero is a total what the fuck movie, because Van Damme is briefly in it as like a what the fuck moment. Apart from that, I still think it's a brilliant film. Hard Target, really good film. So that's good. That's a what the fuck. Van Johnson. The Order. You know, I still haven't got around to taking that sticker off the front. I gotta, you know, that's gotta go on the bar, I think, because it's got no screen for Time Cop. You feel it with starring Philip Van Damme. That's a good film. Time Cop's amazing. Double Team, I think it was good. Second in Command, definitely bad. You know what? I told Casper about it. I watched that and he went, and Casper totally agreed with us. He's like, oh, that's a bad film. And even Dragon Eyes, now I generally found some of this quite funny, but Casper, right? If you know my friend Casper, he's a massive Jean-Claude Van Damme fan and a massive collector, like a hoarder collector, but everything's got to be in catalogue number by supplier, which is crazy because you'll have Die Hard 1, 2, 3, 4. Die Hard with Vengeance will be over here. And he actually traded that in. Casper never trades Blu-rays in, so for that it's got to go in the bad file, because if Casper's got rid of it, whew. Street Fighter, as I say, got to see this at the pictures. Watched that twice this year, second review for it. It's a steelbook. It's the only way that's available on Blu-ray. It just hasn't seen the light of day away from a steelbook. Not a Zavvi exclusive, it's all out there. And last but not least, 101 Films. Now, funny enough, I've just appeared on 101 Films Twitter tonight, looking at films available on the 101 label. So it's, you know, I didn't think I was going to get a Van Damme film in. I thought I'll watch one Van Johnson, then 2 rolled in, and I was catching up with some work, and then 3's been done. So yeah, The Quest starts all off. So that's definitely a good film. I enjoyed The Quest. So What the Fuck is basically Last Action Hero. The bad ones of the bunch are The Order, Second in Command, and Dragon Eyes. And the good Street Fighter, The Quest, Double Team, Time Cop, and Hard Target. Now I'm sure I've got The Quest, Double Team, Time Cop, and Hard Target on VHS. Definitely got there. Street Fighter as well, big box VHS. But yeah, as I say, I think I might go into another Van Damme or the Nicolas Cage. So it's going to be Nicolas Cage or Van Damme next, just depending on what I walk in there and go, right, there's 10 films. I've already started making a pile of new other Van Damme, so I'll have Nowhere to Run. Almost watched that tonight until I realised that I just need to watch the end of Van Damme. What a bit after this. We've got Kickboxer and we've got Universal Soldier Return. Still no idea where Universal Soldier is, and you never guess what retail price for Universal Soldier on Blu-ray is £18. I was like, what the fuck? But Casper said, again, I'm talking about Second Command, Casper said he would see if it was in his box to trade in because he had got the newer 4K version. I was like, Casper, like, fair enough. We're still talking about £18 for a standard Blu-ray in general. So yeah, I mean, Steve Monkey Mason. There's no outtakes. For the good, the bad, and the what the fucks. I'm forgetting what this is. Obviously, if you like this content, Wesley Snipes. I started Wesley Snipes. I have no idea what Wesley Snipes movies it was. Scott Adkins I started as well. There's a Scott Adkins pile of movies to watch where I will find films like The Shepherd and Assassination Games, which star Jean-Claude Van Damme, so I'll be pulling them out. So we'll probably get another Scott Adkins file going. Nicolas Cage, Christian Slater, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. Yeah, they're all already on the channel, but they all probably could do with some more. And as I say, it's not like I've isolated myself. I do this all the time, and if I do get like lockdown isolated next week or what's going on, then I'll be watching a lot more movies. So thanks for watching. Goodbye for now. This is the very end of the Jean-Claude Van Damme video. I was gonna get underneath the car, and even though I'm losing loads of weight, I own a Mini. So that's like, if I bubbled out in front of this, I'd be like, dead, you know. It's like, that's what happened there. So yeah, lockdown is in effect. People are going batshit crazy.
And now, the end is here.